I will deliver a bold plan to cut taxes and to grow our economy. I will deal with the energy crisis, and I will bring a long-term solution in relation to the issues with energy crisis. জি, এই কথাগুলো আমাদের নতুন প্রধানমন্ত্রী লিজ ট্রাস্টের। তিনি আজকে ব্রিটেনের প্রধানমন্ত্রী হিসেবে শপথ গ্রহণ করেছেন। এ পর্যন্ত তার পথ চলা চড়াই উতরাই ছিল অনেক, কিন্তু তিনি আজকে তার প্রধানমন্ত্রীর আসন বুঝে নিয়েছেন এবং এখন থেকে আগামীতে তার চলার পথ কেমন হবে এবং ব্রিটেনের অর্থনীতি এবং ব্রিটেনের আগামীর সময়গুলো কোন দিকে যাবে, অর্থাৎ ব্রিটেনের ইকোনমি এবং ব্রিটেনের এনার্জি ক্রাইসিস, ব্রিটেনের যে মুদ্রাস্ফীতি, সবকিছু মিলিয়ে এবং ব্রিটেনের আন্তর্জাতিক সম্পর্ক সবকিছু মিলিয়ে আগামীর ইউনাইটেড কিংডম কেমন হবে সে নিয়ে আমরা খুব এই ছোট্ট পরিসরে আজকে কিছুটা আলাপ করবার চেষ্টা করব। আমাদের প্যানেল মেম্বারে যারা রয়েছেন তাদের সঙ্গে পরিচয় করে দিয়ে সরাসরি চলে যেতে চাই আলোচনায়। দর্শক, আপনারাও এই আলোচনায় সরাসরি আমাদের সঙ্গে টেলিফোনের মাধ্যমে যোগ দিতে পারেন কিংবা ফেসবুক লাইভেও আপনাদের মতামত লিখে জানাতে পারেন। অবশ্যই নিশ্চয়ই জানেন ফেসবুক লাইভে যাচ্ছে এই অনুষ্ঠান এবং ইউটিউবে আপনারা দেখতে পারবেন। পরিচয় করে দিচ্ছি আমার প্যানেল মেম্বারদের সঙ্গে, তারপরে সরাসরি চলে যাব আলোচনায়। আমার ডান দিকে রয়েছেন আইনাজ্ঞ দেওয়ান মেহেদি, তিনি ডেপুটি চেয়ার পলিটিক্যাল ফর কনজারভেটিভ পার্টি ইলফার্ড সাউথ। ধন্যবাদ দেওয়ান মেহেদি আমাদের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হওয়ার জন্য। থ্যাংক ইউ। আবার টু মাই লেফট ইজ ব্যারিস্টার আনোয়ার বাবুল মিয়া, লেবার সাপোর্টার। ধন্যবাদ বাবুল ভাই ফর জয়নিং আস।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম, থ্যাংক ইউ ফর ইনভাইটিং মি অন দ্য শো।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম। শুরু করতে চাই দেওয়ান মেহেদি আপনাকে দিয়ে। আপনি শুনেছেন যে আমাদের আজকে নতুন প্রধানমন্ত্রী তিনি আগামীকাল শপথ গ্রহণ করবেন বালমোরাল কাসেলে আমাদের রানীর কাছে গিয়ে, এবং তারপর তিনি তার মন্ত্রিসভা ঘোষণা করবেন এবং যতটা আমরা জানি যে আগামীকাল বিকেল 4টায় হয়তো তিনি ভাষণ দেবেন জাতির উদ্দেশ্যে। আপনি তার এই বিজয়কে কিভাবে দেখছেন? যদিও আমরা প্রথমে যেটা আপনারা বা আমরা মিডিয়ার কাছ থেকে যে ধারণাটা পাচ্ছিলাম যে তিনি বিপুল ভোটে জয়ী হবেন, কিন্তু সেই বিপুল ভোটে জয়ী হওয়ার অবস্থান কিন্তু আমরা দেখিনি। খুব কম ভোটের ব্যবধানে তিনি ঋষি সুনাকের সঙ্গে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করে বিজয়ী হয়েছেন। তো আপনার প্রথম একেবারে শুরুর অবজারভেশনটা জানতে চাই যে আপনি এই বিজয়টাকে কিভাবে দেখছেন?
ধন্যবাদ উর্মি আপা। আমি যেভাবে শুরু করব, প্রথম আমি মনে করি এটা কনজারভেটিভ পার্টির জন্য এবং এই দেশবাসীর জন্য একটা বিশাল বিজয় ছিল এইবারের যে সিলেকশন প্রসেস ভোটিং পর্যন্ত। এত ডাইভার্স মানে লিডারশিপ ক্যান্ডিডেটে কম্পিটিশন অন্য কোনো পার্টিতে কিংবা কনজারভেটিভ পার্টিতে এর আগে দেখা যায় নাই। যে জেনারেলি যেটা কিছু
আপনি এটাকে একটা পজিটিভ দিক
আমি পজিটিভ আমি মনে করি যে এটা দিস ইজ সামথিং টু বি সেলিব্রেটেড। আপনি যে দেখেন আমাদের ইনিশিয়াল যে ফিল্টারিং প্রসেস গুলা ছিল, এখানে এত মানে ব্ল্যাক এন্ড এথনিক মাইনরিটির ক্যান্ডিডেট ছিলেন। কেমে ছিলেন, উনি নাইজেরিয়ান ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড, শি কেম টু দিস কান্ট্রি এট দ্য এজ অফ 16। আরেকজন ইরাকি রিফিউজির ছেলে ছিলেন, এরপর সাজিদ জাভেদ ছিলেন, ঋষি সুনাক। এই তো মানে ডাইভার্স ট্যালেন্টেড পিপুলকে যে এই দেশে এখনো মূল্যায়ন করা হয় এবং কনজারভেটিভ পার্টিতে যে তাদের ভেরি স্ট্রং সে আছে, এটা একটা প্রমাণ। যেটা আমরা যদিও বলি যে লেবার পার্টি অনেকের আমাদের মধ্যে ট্রেডিশনাল পপুলার কনসেপ্ট হচ্ছে আমাদের পার্টি, বাট বাস্তবে দেখা যায় গিয়ে কনজারভেটিভ পার্টি এইসব জায়গাতে অনেক এগিয়ে। সো প্রথম এইটাই আমি বলবো যে দিস ইজ সামথিং আমরা নোট করার মতো, যে কিভাবে একটা পার্টি এত মানে ক্যান্ডিডেটকে অ্যাকোমোডেট করেছে, যেখানে ওভার 40% ছিল ব্ল্যাক এন্ড এথনিক মাইনরিটির প্রতিনিধিত্ব। আর দ্বিতীয় যেটা, এই আজকের যে রিজাল্টটা, এটা আসলে এইভাবে এইরকমই রিজাল্ট আমাদের আশা ছিল, হয়তো বা এক্সপেকটেশন ছিল মার্জিন হয়তো আরো বিগ ডিফারেন্স।
ইউ আর সাপোর্টিং লিজ ট্রাস্ট?
জি, আমি লিজ ট্রাস্টের সাপোর্টে কাজ করেছি এবং আমার কিছু গ্রাউন্ডও ছিল, হোয়ারেজ আমার মানে হাই রেসপেক্ট ছিল ঋষি সুনাকের প্রতি। হি ইজ এ ভেরি ট্যালেন্টেড গাই এবং উনি যত বেশি ভোট পেতেন আমি ততই খুশি হতাম, আরো ক্লোজ কন্টেস্ট হলে আরো খুশি হতাম। লিজের পক্ষে আমার যাওয়ার কিছু কারণ ছিল, যেটা মানে আমি খুব মানে কোয়াইট অফটেন এই মানে কোয়েশ্চনটা ফেস করেছি যে কেন আমরা পার্টিকুলারলি আমি বা আমার মতো আরো অনেকেই লিজের পক্ষে গেছেন। এথনিক মাইনরিটি এর দুইটা কারণ ছিল। আমি নিজে গ্রাসরুট লেভেলের পলিটিক্স করে লাস্ট 10 ইয়ার্স থেকে মানে যেভাবে দেখেছি পার্টিকে, মানে পার্টি কি চায় বা কোন জায়গাতে পার্টির মানে রাইট মানে পার্সন আসলে রাইট ডিরেকশনে যাবে, এইটা যেটা মানে পার্লামেন্টে এমপিরা যেভাবে দেখেন গ্রাসরুট কিন্তু অন্যভাবে দেখে। আপনি যদি বাংলাদেশের প্রেক্ষাপট চিন্তা করেন, বাংলাদেশে অনেক গ্রাসরুট অ্যাক্টিভিস্ট আছে, আওয়ামী লীগ, বিএনপি বা জামাত করে, তারা কোনোদিন নেতার সাথে বসারও সুযোগ নাই, জেল জরিমানা খেয়ে সারা জীবন তারা স্যাক্রিফাইস করে যায়। তো গ্রাসরুটে পপুলারিটি পাওয়াটা একটু ডিফারেন্ট, মানে তারা দেখে যে ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড কি, কতটুকু রিলাই করা যায়। লিজ এইসব জায়গাতে কিছুটা অ্যাডভান্স ছিলেন। ঋষি সুনাক যদিও আমি বলছি যে ভেরি ট্যালেন্টেড পারসন, ওর যে ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড, ঋষি সুনাক অনেকটা ভিআইপি রুটে এসেছেন, যে কারণে এই পরীক্ষাগুলো উনি এতটা মানে ফেস করেন নাই, যে কারণে গ্রাসরুটে কোয়াইট অবভিয়াস মানে অপশন যেটা ছিল লিজের প্রতি কিছুটা সফটনেস ছিল। তারপর লন্ডনের যে হাস্টিং যেটা হয়েছে এবং অন্যান্য হাস্টিংগুলোতে উনি যেভাবে রেসপন্স করেছেন ঋষি সুনাক, উনার এমনিতেই পপুলারিটি ছিল, এরপরে উনি আরো মানুষের কাছ থেকে আরো সাপোর্ট পেয়েছেন। তো আমি বলবো দুইজন যোগ্য ছিলেন এই পদের জন্য। তারপরে যেহেতু একজনকে বেছে নিতে হবে, তো এই কারণে আমার ফার্স্ট প্রেফারেন্স ছিল লিজ ট্রাস।
Thank you, Ashwadevan Bhai. So, Babul Bhai, obviously what Dewan Mehdi is saying that this is an experience to celebrate. I'm quite surprised to see that this experience can be treated as a celebration. Labour Party has commented when Liz Truss was announced as the Prime Minister of United Kingdom, saying that trust is not on the side of the working people. What's your initial observation?
Well, firstly, it's a result to be congratulated. It's a result placing a new Prime Minister in the United Kingdom, not just a Prime Minister for Labour members, not just a Prime Minister for the Conservative Party and Conservative members, but a Prime Minister for the entire country. So, we congratulate her. But the fact is, whether or not she is going to be able to deliver on the kind of promises that she's actually set out, whether or not it's a cause of celebration, I'm not entirely sure, in which case I'm inclined to agree with you. It's a bizarre proposition that we must celebrate a situation where it is this very government which has placed the United Kingdom in one of the most worst situations in living memory. We have a cost of living crisis. We have inflation at record levels. We're involved in a de facto war in the Ukraine, where we have stuck our neck out far greater than any other European country. We are the ones who are unable to control the levels of fuel bills and so on and so forth. It really is a horrendous situation that we find ourselves in, a complete mismanagement. We have immigration which is out of control in the sense that there's no management of it at all. The outgoing Home Secretary, Priti Patel, she herself has created what we must describe as an absolute mess of the immigration policy. I mean, we can go on all day. The entire country is paralysed because we have public sector workers striking in whichever sector you say, whether it's transport, whether it's the legal sector, whether it's the NHS. I mean, any particular sector you point the finger at, they're striking. The entire country is paralysed. There's absolutely no direction for this country to take, and there's no one at the helm. It's a completely sinking ship. There is no captain at the helm, and I'm really at a loss as to what it is that Liz Truss is going to be able to conjure up from the hat. Does she have a rabbit in her hat? I'm not entirely sure. It remains to be seen. And Dewan Bhai has raised a number of observations. Perhaps we'll revisit those in a moment about the diversity issue. I'm not sure that was your question at this stage.
Yes, I think in a very simple terms, the mess that we have gone through as a result of, again, really messy business of the Prime Minister, possibly, if I'm not wrong, the first Prime Minister who was issued with a fine for breaking the COVID law.
Well, it's a lot more serious than that. I mean, being in the wrong place at the wrong time and inadvertently finding yourself in breach of the rules or regulations at the time is one thing. The allegation is, and I'm merely going by what's been suggested, is that there was dishonesty. Now, that's something which is far more serious than simply being, in breach of a particular rule. It can happen to anybody. We can find ourselves in the wrong place, wrong time. We may be faced with a fine. That's a sanction that we may have to just take on the chin, and that's it. In this particular situation, it was far graver, and you're not just an ordinary person. You are the Prime Minister of this country. You're the first citizen, in which case the responsibility. You set the rule which you are breaking, and then you go on to deny that this took place. Allegedly, this is what I'm not saying that. That's what's been said.
The Sugres report.
That's right. That's what's been said, and those were the findings. And that's why I say it's 10 times worse than the proposition that it was simply a case of just being the recipient of a fine.
John Bhai, if I come back to you with the same question that I put to Anwar Babul Mia, is that why you are looking at this the whole business, whole scenario being a process of celebrating the success of your party when we are still recovering from the mess, the political and the socio-political mess and the image credibility of politicians that your party, our previous Prime Minister has brought in for United Kingdom. I mean, we have heard the President of France made a comment which we laughed, but actually it was quite an embarrassing comment. He said, he is congratulating Liz Truss and hoping that she would make things right for the things that our previous politicians have done wrong. So for another politician to make such comments, that's very derogatory for a country like us, isn't it? But you are saying that this is a celebration for Conservative Party that you now, yes, this is a relief that we now have a Prime Minister, because all this time we have been on limbo, not knowing who is coming, but knew that Boris Johnson is leaving.
Okay. Perhaps it will be good for me to explain my position. Why did I say that it's time to celebration? It's not as a conservative activist, but for this country. This is the first time in the history we had two choices. One, someone would be the Prime Minister, a female Prime Minister on the third occasion, and another one is someone from black and ethnic minorities. Representative of black and ethnic minorities.
Yeah, but that's coming out of a mess.
Yeah, I'm coming to that point as well. So on that point, আপনি যদি চিন্তা করেন, yes, we have progressed a lot. Like 20 years back, 30 years back, আপনার ছেলে বা আমার ছেলে ইংল্যান্ডের প্রাইম মিনিস্টার হবে, probably like we did not have that courage to think even যে কেউ একজন হতে পারে প্রাইম মিনিস্টার, অথবা একজন ফিমেল একবার দুইবার না, for the third time. So
sorry,
on that point,
I have to stop you because because I may forget this point, because you said yourself before that Rishi Sunak came from a very advantageous position, advantageous family. He is a very rich and wealthy man, very highly educated. He is not a grassroots politician. The Conservative Party did not allow a grassroots politician to come from grassroots up to this level.
I agree with you, but in the future,
so you can't celebrate that.
It's the beginning of the change only. So it's the beginning part. Okay, so you will see, like in 10 years time, 15 years time, or 20 years later, it could be something different. Okay. Second point, like how do I see this leadership contest? আমার কাছে মনে হয়, and to number of people তারাও আমার সাথে একমত হবে, the new leadership, it brings hope and certainty. Okay, there was number of things we could not achieve. I agree with this. Okay, when a leader will make 100 decision, okay, there is a chance that 5 or 10% decision can go wrong. Like Bangladesh captain Sakib Al Hasan, he is the world #1 captain, all-rounder, but again he made some mistakes in our last matches. So we cannot expect that our leadership would be 100% right all the time. Particularly যখন আমরা কোভিডের মতো একটা চ্যালেঞ্জ ফেস করি, যেটা 300 ইয়ার্স এই দেশে ফেস করার কোনো রেকর্ড নাই। So on that context, you can give him some credit for doing some wonderful job. At the same time, we can criticize him that which, in the cases like where he did not
for lying to the country.
Lying ta I see this in a different bhabe ami eta ke bolte parbo. The number of like few things, like individual, like doing something wrong. Another one hoche ki apni you are doing something wrong and the whole country will be penalizing for this. Jeta hoyeche apni লেবারের যখন প্রাইম মিনিস্টার ছিলেন টনি ব্লেয়ার, হি মিসলেড দ্য হোল কান্ট্রি। পার্লামেন্টে দাঁড়িয়ে উনি রং স্টেটমেন্ট দিয়েছেন এবং যার জন্য হাজার হাজার মানুষ ইরাকে সাফার করছে, হাজার হাজার মানুষের জান মাল নিরাপত্তা সবকিছু বিঘ্নিত হয়েছে, এন্ড দ্য কান্ট্রি ওয়াজ ইন এ বিগ ট্রাবল। কম্পেয়ার টু দ্যাট ওয়ান,
you supported it.
Who supported it?
The Conservative Party supported it.
Well, I'm just comparing between the two leader. এখন দুইটা কন্ডাক্ট হচ্ছে কি আপনি একটা মিস্টেক, এইটার জন্য আপনার যে কনসিকুয়েন্স, আরেকটা হচ্ছে কি আপনি সারা দেশকে ডুবিয়ে ফেলতেছেন, ওইটার জন্য তাকে নাইটহুড আমরা দিতেছি। এন্ড অন দ্যাট কেস আমরা ক্লেপ দেই, কিন্তু বরিসের ব্যাপারে মাইনর কিছু হলে মিডিয়া নিয়ে দেয় একটা বিগ ডিল বানিয়ে ফেলে, এন্ড উই লাভ টু ক্রিটিসাইজ হিম। সো দুইজনের দেখেন, একজনের হচ্ছে গিয়ে তার অফিস ছাড়তে হচ্ছে ফর ডুইং সামথিং, আরেকজন হচ্ছে পার্লামেন্টে দাঁড়িয়ে টু মিসলিড দ্য হোল কান্ট্রি এবং ইরাকের মতো একটা দেশকে ডিস্ট্রয় করে ফেলার জন্য তাকে নাইটহুড দেওয়া হচ্ছে। হাউ ইউ উইল কম্পেয়ার অন দ্য স্কেল অফ লাইক ইফ ইউ আর লাইক ইফ ইউ ওয়ান্ট টু কনক্লুড টু হ্যাভ লাইক ফেয়ার জাজমেন্ট, আপনি দুইটাকে কিভাবে দেখবেন? আপনি যদি দুইটাকে সমানভাবে দেখেন তাহলে কম্পেয়ার টু টনি ব্লেয়ার, বরিস হ্যাজ নট ডান লাইক মানে ন্যাশনালি এটাকে আলোচনা করার মতো মানে এমন তার দেয়ার ওয়াজ সাম মিস্টেক অ্যান্ড আই ডু এগ্রি লাইক এটা রেকটিফাই করার মতো অনেক ক্ষেত্রে পাবলিক ট্রাস্ট অ্যান্ড কনফিডেন্স কমে গেছে, দিস ইজ ওয়াই উই আর হেয়ার। বাট মানে আমরা যদি হেড টু হেড কম্পারিজন করি মানে আরো কিন্তু বড় অপরাধ করে অনেককে আমরা নাইটহুড দিয়েছি। তো এটা দুইটা কিভাবে মানে মানে দুইটা আপনি যদি এক পাল্লায় নেন নাকি দুইটা দুই রকম কনক্লুশনে আপনি যেতে পারেন।
আসবো আপনার কাছে জানতে চাইবো আমি একটু আনোয়ার বাবুল ভাই আপনার কাছে আসতে যাচ্ছি। সো ইন টার্মস অফ লেবার পার্টিস কমেন্ট টুডে দ্যাট ট্রাস্ট ইজ নট অন দ্য সাইড অফ দ্য ওয়ার্কিং পিপল, why do you think that is?
Well, there's a number of reasons. We'll be here all day if we discuss why she's not on the side of the working people. Well, briefly, in a nutshell, what it boils down to is this. She's not able to identify with the working class people, the ordinary people, the working people, the kind of challenges that are being faced by these people.
But she's saying that she's going to cut taxes, she's going to help grow the economy, she's going to deal with the energy crisis.
Well, she can say what she likes. She's going to be able to say all these things, but whether or not she actually goes and delivers the results is a different matter. She has not explained how she's going to achieve those things. So these at the moment are simply sound bites. There's no methodology or systematic approach in place to be able to have that material outcome in favor of the ordinary hardworking people. Why is it that up and down the country workers are striking? It's precisely because the party as a whole is unable, the Conservative Party as a whole, is unable to put into place systems and create the conditions to be able to provide the answers and resolutions to the kind of difficulties which are being placed or which are being faced rather by the ordinary people.
So what will be her experience in Parliament, do you think, when Keir Starmer will face her in terms of the plan that Labour Party put forward in relation to the tax cuts as well as dealing with the energy crisis? That seemed to be quite a strong plan, but obviously Labour Party is still not in a position possibly at this point to secure the government if election comes up now.
Well, we said bring it on. I think that if there was an election tomorrow, I think the Labour Party will have a landslide victory. And that's a well-founded belief, not a fanciful one. It seems to be the case that the entire country is not quite in favour of the Conservative Party at the moment. You have a situation where there are disgruntled people, even within traditional Conservative Party voters, not extremely happy with the current situation at all. The continuous crises that are being faced by the government are simply not being resolved. The Conservative Party is unable, they may be willing, but they're unable to do that. They haven't been able to deliver on a number of fronts.
But are you confident, is Labour Party confident that if election comes up soon enough, that you'll be able to have a landslide victory or, form the government? Because why didn't then Sir Keir Starmer ask for an election? Lib Dem asked for it, but Labour Party didn't.
The Labour Party is consistently saying, let's have an election, let's have a general election straight away. If we have a general election straight away, I'm quite confident that the country will vote in a Labour government. And it's something which the country needs as a matter of urgency, because as I say, the Conservative Party is unable to deliver the kind of solutions that are needed for this country to have a foreseeable future, a good one.
দর্শক, we'll go for a short break. দর্শক, ফিরে আসছি ছোট্ট বিজ্ঞাপন বিরতির পর। আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকবেন এবং আমাদের সঙ্গে সরাসরি যোগ দিতে পারেন প্রশ্ন নিয়ে কিংবা মতামত নিয়ে। সবাইকে এই পর্বে শুভেচ্ছা। 5ই সেপ্টেম্বর 2022 ব্রিটেন নতুন প্রধানমন্ত্রী লিজ ট্রাস্টকে বরণ করে নিচ্ছে। কথা বলবার জন্য আমাদের প্যানেলে রয়েছেন তিনজন অতিথি। আমার ডান দিকে রয়েছেন আইনজ্ঞ দেওয়ান মেহেদি, ডেপুটি চেয়ার পলিটিক্যাল ফর কনজারভেটিভ পার্টি ইলফোর্ড সাউথ। আমার বাঁয়ে রয়েছেন ব্যারিস্টার আনোয়ার বাবুল মিয়া, লেবার সাপোর্টার, and to my extreme left is Dr. Murtoza Shaukat, Dr. Manzoor Shaukat, conservative activist plus executive member of Dartford Town Ward. Thank you, Manzoor bhai, আমাদের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হওয়ার
Thanks very
জন্য।
much for inviting me.
Manzoor bhai, I would like to start with you because obviously I know that you have supported Liz Truss, and
Yes.
you must be very happy for that. You know, she
Definitely.
has won the ballot. What was the primary reason for supporting Liz Truss and not Rishi Sunak?
I believe in delivery, and Liz truly stood for that. If you look at
She hasn't delivered anything.
Yeah, if you look at her track when she became Secretary of State for International Trade, post-Brexit, this was the first deal with Japan and Britain. That in over next few years, Britain and have 15 billion in business trade deal was done between these two countries. This is our first success, and that was the first after post-Brexit. And secondly, if you see the whole world. And the Australian diplomacy, free market, and to the free, because she believes in free market and free economy. Then that next deal she has done with Australia. Obviously, when Australian is become effective, the price of meat, beef, chicken, will be cheaper in this country. So this is second. And if I see more of like whenever I say the British Prime Minister, I do not only see the only Prime Minister of Britain. I want to see is a global Prime Minister. Look at that Blue Pacific diplomacy with the transatlantic countries. What a success Liz as a Foreign Secretary she has done with Japan, Australia, New Zealand, new kind of this called Blue Pacific diplomacy. She has successfully done that. And if you look at the to protect the British interest, she has developed kind of Asian countries networking which will benefit British economy. Like for example, investing in AI and the quantum computing on all others technology. This is another one. And if you see that when the war started, and Britain was the first country in the Western world to support Ukraine and stood for Ukraine and stop invading Ukraine by Russian Putin. So this is all her delivery. If you say she hasn't done, didn't delivered anything, then I might.
As the Prime Minister, yet.
As the Prime Minister, she will take her oath on tomorrow. She is Prime Minister and waiting, so you need to give her time. She has already promised what she will deliver as Prime Minister. I think probably Britain got a Prime Minister people can remember for years and years.
Okay, we will come back to that. Dewan bhai, you wanted to add something in relation to the question I put to Mr. Anwar Babul Mia, that Labour's comment, Sir Keir Starmer's comment about Liz Truss is not the person for the working people.
Okay, it's a very interesting question, and I love this type of question. Okay, Labour the comment gulo ashe is quite common and very popular to ordinary people, but the people who analyze the politics, who try to understand the politics, they see.
But isn't Labour the party for the ordinary people?
This is another big question. I see, like as a ordinary people, how they see how they take this comment. Okay, some people they take it easily, and some people they see something else. Okay, this is what they expect from Labour, nothing better than that. Okay, why? Let me tell you the reason why Liz is the best candidate, would be the best Prime Minister, and she will deliver for the working class people. First of all, what does working class people want? আপনি যদি একজন সাধারণ মানুষকে যদি জিজ্ঞেস করেন আপনি কি হলে খুশি, দে ওয়ান্ট টু কিপ দ্য কস্ট লো এবং দে ওয়ান্ট এ সিম্পল লাইফ। ওকে, যদি আপনি যদি ওর ম্যানিফেস্টোগুলো দেখেন, শি অলরেডি হ্যাজ প্রমিস দ্য কিপিং দ্য কস্ট লো। আপনি ন্যাশনাল ইন্স্যুরেন্সের যে 1.25% বাড়ার কথা, ওইটা আর বাড়ানো হবে না, অলরেডি দ্য অ্যানাউন্সমেন্ট ইজ দেয়ার। আপনি যদি চিন্তা করেন যে এনার্জি বিল উইন্টারে বেড়ে যাবে, ইট উড বি আ বিগ চ্যালেঞ্জ ফর দ্য অর্ডিনারি পিপুল। শি হ্যাজ অলরেডি গিভেন হার অ্যানাউন্সমেন্ট যে এনার্জি লেভি যেটা 8% বেড়ে যায় এনার্জি বিল, ওইটার পক্ষে না সে। শি ওয়ান্টস টু রিমুভ দিস সো দ্য ইন দ্য উইন্টার পিপুল ডোন্ট নিড টু ওয়ারি টু মাচ। ওকে, এনার্জির যে ক্রাইসিসটা এটা ইট নিডস লং টার্ম প্ল্যান, বাট হোয়াট ইজ কামিং ফ্রম হার উইদিন 100 ডেজ, এখানে কিন্তু আশাবাদী হওয়ার দেয়ার আর নাম্বার অফ রিজনস টু বি অপটিমিস্টিক অ্যাবাউট। ওকে, আপনি দেখেন সে এখনো বলছে যে 40 নিউ হসপিটাল হবে, যেটা এনএইচএস এর কাছে আমাদের যে এক্সপেকটেশন বা আমাদের যে সার্ভিসটা চাই, আমাদের যে এমপ্লয়মেন্ট যোগান দেওয়ার মতো, এবং হসপিটালগুলো যেটা অনেকের যে লং টাইম ওয়েটিং এর পরে যেটা অনেকের একটা এক্সপেকটেশন হচ্ছে যে এটা রিস্ট্রাকচারিং করা দরকার, আরো ইনভেস্টমেন্ট দরকার, শি হ্যাজ অলরেডি প্রমিস। সো উইদিন 100 ডেজ অনেকগুলা আপনি এই প্ল্যানগুলা আপনি দেখবেন কিভাবে ইমপ্লিমেন্টেড হয়। টু আর্লি টু কমেন্ট এনিথিং।
আমাদের দর্শকদের জন্য যদি একটু বুঝিয়ে বলেন যে, so it's really good to hear that all these promises are being made, but all these promises, are they actually idealistic promises or realistic? Because when we went through the Brexit, আমরা কিন্তু একই গল্প, and all those money will be invested on NHS. Nothing happened. The crisis
আমরা এরকম শুনছিলাম যে এই দেশে কোনো ইন্ডাস্ট্রি থাকবে না, কোনো জব থাকবে না, মানুষ মারা যাবে। Is this the case really? ব্রেক্সিটের পরে ইকোনমি থেকে এরকম কোনো ক্রাইসিস দেখা দিয়েছে যে এমপ্লয়মেন্ট নাই, মানুষ না খেয়ে মারা যাচ্ছে? ব্রেক্সিটের সময় অনেক কিছু অনেকে বলেছে, এখন এইটা একটা দুটা, আমি এটাই তো বলছি, আমি কাউন্টার পার্ট থেকে আমরা যেগুলো শুনতেছি ব্রেক্সিটের পরে কোনো ইন্ডাস্ট্রি থাকবে না, কোনো এমপ্লয়মেন্ট থাকবে না, বাট এখন দেখা যাচ্ছে কমপ্লিটলি অপোজিট। আপনি যদি দেখেন যে ইংল্যান্ড, লন্ডনের যে মার্কেট, দিস ইজ স্টিল দ্য লাইক ক্যাপিটাল অফ দ্য ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল মার্কেট অফ দ্য ওয়ার্ল্ড। তো আমরা
contrary to that, it's actually your party, Conservative Party, the Prime Minister at that time said that all the money that they will be saving from EU, giving that money to the EU, will come directly to the NHS. Hence, the service of NHS will improve.
It did not happen. Okay, let me tell you why. Okay, আপনি দেখেন ব্রেক্সিটের পরে কিন্তু শান্তি আসে নাই। ব্রেক্সিটের পরে আসছে গিয়ে কোভিড প্যান্ডেমিক আসে, এরা 300 বছরের মধ্যে এই দেশের মানুষ এরকম এক্সপিরিয়েন্স ফেস করে নাই। এরপরে চলে আসছে ইউক্রেন ওয়ার। সো আপনি যখন লং টার্ম প্ল্যানে যখন বলবেন, তখন কিন্তু এটা লং টার্ম টাইমটা কিন্তু আপনার খেয়াল রাখতে হবে যে উইদিন 2 years 3 years ইফ ইউ এক্সপেক্ট লাইক এভরিথিং উইল চেঞ্জ লাইক ওভারনাইট, তাইলে এটা কিন্তু টু মানে আর্লি হয়ে যাবে। আমাদের এক্সপেকটেশন গুলো হতে হবে ভেরি রিয়েলিস্টিক। তো আমি বলবো যে ব্রেক্সিটের পরে তো আসলে কোনো টাইমই ছিল না, প্যান্ডেমিকের মধ্যে যে এইভাবে এই দেশটাকে
you believe her promises are realistic?
Yeah, 40 হসপিটাল ইজ পসিবল, এবং সে কিন্তু এটা ব্রেকডাউন মানে যে প্ল্যানগুলো করেছে। আপনি দেখেন যে এনার্জির যে ক্রাইসিস, যে এনার্জি লেভি যেটা 8% যদি এটা রিমুভ করা হয়, তাহলে উইন্টারে যে মানে যে চ্যালেঞ্জটা হতো যে ইমিডিয়েট মানে ইনক্রিমেন্ট হয়ে যেত, এটা কিন্তু আর হচ্ছে না। আপনি যদি কর্পোরেশন ট্যাক্সের কথা বলেন, 23% চলে যাওয়ার কথা ছিল 2023, সে বলছে যে ইমিডিয়েট কোনো মানে কর্পোরেশন ট্যাক্সের কোনো হাইক হবে না। সে বলছে যে বিজনেস রেটটাকে রিভিউ করবে, ইনহেরিটেন্স ট্যাক্স যেটা ভেরি হাই 40%, সো এটাকে রিভিউ করবে। হোয়াট এলস ইউ ক্যান এক্সপেক্ট ফ্রম এ প্রাইম মিনিস্টার? আই উইল সে देयर আর লট অফ থিংস ইন ওয়ান প্যাকেজ।
Inheritance tax makes rich people even richer.
No, আপনি না আপনি ওর প্ল্যানটা আগে শুনেন না।
I'll come to you.
Let's talk about realistic.
Yeah, Mazher bhai. No. I have a question because from Dewan Bhai, all these promises that Liz Truss is making, we would like to believe that this is gonna, she will be able to deliver. However, in terms of the maths that she's presenting to the people of Great Britain, is that things are going to be, she's going to do tax cuts. So with the tax cuts, richer will be even more richer. Rich people will be richer. Look, because when there's tax cuts, who is going to be the most beneficial is the rich people, because they will be giving.
If you see
hold on, no. But and then when we were observing all those hustings, Rishi Sunak was clearly saying that actually there needs to be increasing tax, because otherwise how you're going to balance the book?
Let me explain you.
And secondly, thirdly, it's number of conservative leaders have said that Liz Truss's understanding of policies in terms of economy, in terms of international issues, are very weak rather than Rishi Sunak. So obviously now she's in power. Yeah. Are you concerned that we are going to face challenges?
Let me talk about, and she was Chief Secretary to the Treasury. She understands number, how to solve. So if somebody,
but why is it that your Conservative Party members were saying her understanding is poor?
It's political. When there is a debate between two leadership, people will try to undermine other contenders. That's natural. So now coming to your point, Rishi Sunak high tax. Let me explain my way. So if somebody have got heart attack, Let me explain it very simple way. Somebody have a heart attack. What's the normal thing we do? We take patient to the catheter lab to do angioplasty. They're putting a stent or ring for we say. So this is the normal procedure to do that. But that patient have got oxygen level is very low. If we organize taking patient to the catheter lab doing angioplasty, we just we are not focusing on giving oxygen. The patient will die because patient will not have the time. At the moment, country is facing lack of oxygen, and Rishi Sunak's policy, long-term cutting tax. Our patient people in the country will die because of lack of oxygen. That is one of the reasons I supported and I voted for Liz Truss. And she knows what immunity needs to be done, and boosting people's boosting people's financial health. This is her number one priority. Tax cutting, what you're saying, tax cutting. So one of the plan is not already clearly declared how she will be cutting tax. I was reading the business secretary or someone in the party was telling highest earner income will be tax will be charging 80,000 plus. So lots of people in the country, they actually high earners are at the moment as cutting tax from 40,000 plus incomes. So people with 80,000, she will target people with 80,000 plus. How would you rephrase that? Is she not focusing on the people on the middle class? Obviously, she's focusing, her policy is focusing on middle class and lower middle class and hardworking people.
Okay, I'll come to you, Anwar Babul Miya. What's your take on that? The country is suffering from lack of oxygen.
Do you know what? I'm absolutely flabbergasted. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I mean, the kind of the views that I'm hearing about what the reality of the situation is just beyond comprehension. The proposition that meat and chicken is going to be reduced, and therefore that's the reason that Liz Truss is being supported. I simply don't understand it, because it may well be the case that certain, I don't know if it's true, but even if it was the case that poultry and meat was going to be reduced very marginally. On the other hand, you have energy bills which have gone through the roof. You have fuel, petrol, the cost of fuel has gone through the roof. I mean, everything, the cost of living is simply out of control. It just does not make sense that you say that, okay, but have a look at the price of meat. I don't understand it. I certainly don't think that there is going to be any real-term deduction. Look at inflation, record levels of inflation. And then when we talk about, I mean, from the other side, I think I was hearing about 40 new hospitals. That wasn't Liz Truss's policy. We heard Boris Johnson talk about that back in 2019. Where are those hospitals? They haven't materialized. Liz Truss may well have said, well, we're going to carry through with this. Well, what's happening? We don't have an update on what's going on there. Where are all these thousands of police officers? Where are all these thousands of nurses that we heard about in 2019? Where are all these miracles that we're going to be hearing about? And then we also have a conversation here just now about the fact that Liz Truss was likely to be better at cutting taxes than Rishi Sunak, and that she was somehow had a post in the Treasury. Rishi Sunak was the Chancellor. He was the one who oversaw a lot of measures which, to be fair to Rishi Sunak, were actually quite user-friendly, were good for the people during the pandemic. You know, there was a VAT reduction, for example, for the hospitality industry. There was the Eat Out to Help Out. There were bounce-back loans. There were a lot of measures in place, overseen and fought for by Rishi Sunak, and somehow now there is an argument or suggestion that Liz Truss is to be taking credit for that and that she's a better option. I simply don't follow that. A lot of what I've heard just now from both sides of the same coin simply doesn't make sense to me. What must be the reality is that we have the most divided Conservative Party that we've ever had. We have a Conservative Party which, contrary to the suggestion earlier on by Diwan Bhai, that in terms of pro-BAME and so on and so forth, I don't agree with that. I think there is a serious message here. I think that the Conservative members of Parliament may well be more balanced, and they may be colour blind, if I can use that phrase, because we had people like Kim Badenoch, who was doing very well. We had Rishi Sunak, who did extremely well. The vast majority of the Conservative Party members of Parliament were supporting him. But when it came to the Conservative members, it was a completely different kettle of fish, you know. And
so just referring to what you said,
yeah,
I'm not the color you're mentioning. I fall into the color you're mentioning. It's the racial, what you're trying to say. When it came into grassroots people, they didn't vote Rishi Sunak. So I'm being Asian, I voted Liz Truss, and I'm proudly voted because I believe in policy. If you see that...
What policy did you vote for? I haven't heard one yet.
What
if
policy?
you're talking about tax cuts, when it's Rishi Sunak who was the proponent and the...
What I said...
let me finish, I'm talking. It was Rishi Sunak who was going to be more pro-tax cutting and more able to manage the economy than Liz Truss. It was Rishi Sunak who had a far greater track record in terms of the kind of portfolios that he was holding, not Liz Truss. The only thing I can remember Liz Truss doing, and I mean this, there's no disrespect to her, today is her day, tomorrow will be her day, and none of us should take that away from her. And as I said at the outset, we do congratulate her because it's a big thing to be Prime Minister of a country. But in terms of what really stands out for me is the kind of comment she was making about the pork markets. I don't know if you remember that video. It went viral. That's the kind of memory that we have of Liz Truss. I hope she does well, because whilst she is Prime Minister, we really need to come out of the
Absolutely, we need to look at the interest of the country.
Absolutely.
Devan bhai, apnar kache asতে যাচ্ছি. So
first of all,
I have questions. So in terms of again, for our viewers, I'm sure people are happy that we now have a Prime Minister, so we don't have to go through that limbo. We, as a country, we would like to stand behind her so that she gets the support. But at the same time, what we cannot also ignore that the challenges that she has. I mean, if we look at the energy bill, if we look at how the country is becoming more and more destable with strikes everywhere, long waiting list in terms of NHS, interest rate being high, inflation being high, and a divided, very, very divided Conservative Party. We don't know how long. We would like to believe that Liz Truss will be able to take herself through until 2020. When is the next election due? 2025, is it?
2024 May.
24 May, okay. So that she will be able to, take herself up to that point. But at the same time, when she has got her own people from her own party, maybe try to kind of draw her down, pull her down from her post. With all these challenges, how do you foresee our life in Britain in next couple of, at least next 2 years?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me go one by one. First of all, with regards to Anwar Babul Bhai's comment, inflation rate going up is not like Liz's fault. She has not taken her office yet, so from tomorrow she will be taking. And if we talk about inflation, let me give you this figure. ইংল্যান্ডের ইনফ্লেশন রেট থেকে অনেক বেশি ইনফ্লেশন আছে নেদারল্যান্ডে 10.3, এর চেয়ে অনেক বেশি আছে স্পেনে 10.4, রাশিয়াতে আছে 15.1. So compare, see, England is not the only country that we are struggling. There are other countries that are struggling as well. Okay, so you need to give her some time to see how she implement her ideas. Okay? I'm very much optimistic. I'm excited that some good time is coming, and like the whole country would be united. Particularly, we are talking about Conservative Party. The division, I do not agree with this division. It's a part of democracy that this brother can support someone, I can support someone else, but when we get the result, we stay united. Okay. The challenges we face in last few years, that this was not something was known to this country or to the media or to the leadership. Pandemic, we know when we do the business plan, the expert, they keep the contingency plan like 20% or 25%. No expert could predict something is coming like this, that no plane would work. আমেরিকার মতো দেশ, চায়নার মতো দেশ, ইন্ডিয়ার মতো লাইক মাল্টি বিলিয়ন পাউন্ড যেখানে মানে ইকোনমির কথা বলে, তারাও দে স্ট্রাগলড ভেরি ব্যাডলি. সো ইংল্যান্ড, উই আর নট দ্য অনলি কান্ট্রি. কম্পেয়ার টু আদার কান্ট্রিজ, আমরা অনেক ভালো অপরচুনিটিস পেয়েছি. কম্পেয়ার টু আদার কান্ট্রিজ, দেয়ার ওয়াজ নাম্বার অফ প্যাকেজেস ফর আস. ওকে, উইথ রিগার্ডস টু দ্য এনার্জি বিল, if we talk about the future, she has already a plan. She said she would not support the energy levy, which will reduce 8% already, like we are talking about. With regards to the strike, she bolche her first 100 days, she would be like giving the plan in the table for like how to reduce the strike.
Do you think she will be strong enough? Because initially we were hearing that Liz Truss is going to be another Margaret Thatcher. She doesn't have the leadership of Margaret Thatcher. I don't think so. And the critics are clearly saying that. But will she be able to handle the trade union like Margaret Thatcher did?
If it is not Liz, who else could be a better choice? আপনি দেখেন কেয়ার স্টারমারের ওর পলিটিক্যাল ক্যারিয়ার কি, কবে আসছে সে? লিজ হচ্ছে গিয়ে কাউন্সিলর থেকে আসছে, she worked under David Cameron, she worked under Theresa May, she worked under Boris Johnson. তার থেকে এক্সপিরিয়েন্স আপনি আর কাকে পাবেন এখানে? ঋষি সুনাক সে কবে আসছে পলিটিক্সে? ইফ ইউ কম্পেয়ার লাইক ঋষি সুনাক এন্ড কেয়ার স্টারমার এন্ড লিজ ট্রাস, মানে তার ট্র্যাক রেকর্ড, তার হিস্ট্রি, তার ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড সবকিছু উড বি টকিং অন বিহাফ অফ হার। আমি যদি আজকে এটিএন বাংলার যদি আমি ভিউয়ার হই, আপনার জায়গাতে যদি আমি নতুন একজন প্রেজেন্টার দেখে আমার একটা ভিউ হবে, আর আপনাকে গত 10 বছর ধরে দেখে, আপনার রেকর্ড দেখে, আপনার প্রোগ্রাম দেখে আপনার প্রতি আমার রেসপেক্ট অটোমেটিক আসবে। ইউ ডোন্ট নিড টু আস্ক মি দেওয়ান ভাই হোয়াট ডু ইউ থিঙ্ক অ্যাবাউট মি। তো লিজের এই আপনি যদি ওর 15 ইয়ার্সের রেকর্ডগুলো দেখেন, সে কিন্তু উড়ে এসে জুড়ে বসে নাই, সে তৃণমূল থেকে উঠে এসে সে আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড হোয়াট দ্য পিপুল ওয়ান্ট ফ্রম হার। তো তার থেকে বেটার চয়েস কখনো মানে ঋষি সুনাক হতে পারে না বা কেয়ার স্টারমার হতে পারে না।
Can I just briefly come back?
Literally, 1 minute, I have to go.
Okay, well, the thing is, like, that's not how you measure ability. Look at Barack Obama, for example. He wasn't a career politician. He didn't come out with years and years of experience, but he was probably, in my opinion, one of the best presidents America's ever seen. Whereas you have people such as Joe Biden, who's a president at the moment, many years of experience, but I think completely on a different,
he lacks leadership.
Completely on a different level. So that's not how you measure. And I'm slightly concerned to hear that legislation is going to be changed, and that's how they're going to be dealing with the strike action. That's not how you do it. Be warned, that's not how you
come back on
strike
that.
action.
Okay, can I explain this point, please?
দর্শক, ছোট্ট বিজ্ঞাপন বিরতির পর আমরা ফিরে আসছি। আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকুন, সরাসরি টেলিফোনের মাধ্যমে অথবা লাইভ ফেসবুকে আমাদের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হতে পারেন। ফিরে আসছি, আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকুন। দর্শক, বিজ্ঞাপন বিরতির পর আমরা ফিরে এসেছি আজকের অনুষ্ঠানের শেষ পর্বে। আমরা কথা বলছি ব্রিটেনের বর্তমান রাজনৈতিক পরিস্থিতি নিয়ে। আজকে 5ই সেপ্টেম্বর 2022 আমাদের নতুন প্রাইম মিনিস্টার নির্বাচিত হয়েছেন লিজ ট্রাস। তার আগামীর দিনগুলো কেমন হবে প্রধানমন্ত্রী হিসেবে, সেই বিষয়ে আমরা বিভিন্ন দিক নিয়ে আলোচনা করছি। আমি এবারে ডক্টর মনজুর শওকত আপনার কাছে আসতে চাচ্ছি যে the same question that I put to Dawan Bhai is in terms of the challenges that she's going to have with the policies, with the economic crisis, with the fuel crisis, with the energy crisis, with inflation, with interest rate, NHS crisis, strikes, and to add to that the Ukraine situation, because আমরা জানি যে কয়েকদিন আগে 24th August বরিস জনসন গিয়েছিলেন কিয়েভে, এবং at that point his commitments to the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, that UK will continue to support with money as well as with the war materials. Considering where we stand today, how confident, আপনি কতটা confident যে in terms of Liz Truss will be able to manage all this crisis and continue to lead the country?
Okay, there are a lot of issues. Start from health. You understand there are lots of, because of the COVID, lots of appointments, around 60 million appointments. People are queuing up for getting appointment. What is understood? Next year, around 2,000 doctors will be going retirement. And she realized that she has offered a package. Because if they don't retire, they have to pay more taxes when they eventually have all those doctors who will be retiring. So she has given assurance to the doctor, don't retire, stay serve longer time for NHS, help our patient. So your tax will not be targeted. So when it comes to how realistic, this is one example of how realistic she is. Number two, coming to like Ukraine things. And I'm very surprised when I see people in this country, living in the country, in Britain, they are supporting Russia. And when ask those people, what do you want to bring your relatives? We want to bring either in States or in Britain. I was asking, do you want to send in the Russian nationality? Say no. So it is kind of double standard. So if anybody live in Britain, what the government is not only Conservative Party is doing, it's also support from the Labour Party. It's united action. So what Britain is doing is, while Boris has led the war, but Liz is continuing. It's a united decision in the House of Commons and Parliament. So
are you saying that Liz Truss will not honour the commitment that Boris Johnson had made to Ukraine on 24th of August?
Definitely she will continue, because she was one of the person who was involved with making all these policies.
Yeah, but I think I'm sure you have seen the people of Great Britain across Britain were making comments like, number of people are going hungry. They don't have the money to feed their children. They don't have the money to food the energy bill. And especially coming to winter, they're going to suffer more. So this is when the people are suffering so much, should we actually be then supporting a war?
So there was debating on which kind of media's report you're reading.
No, we saw the interviews.
You whatever you see that. Look, what would be better if you see Putin is attacking this country? Do you support that Putin is attacking Britain?
No, but Putin is not.
So is it a wrong idea?
Britain.
So Putin's main attraction in whole Europe is Britain, because Putin knows there's only country in whole Europe they can fight him back. The only country in Europe, because Britain doesn't do any under the table deal with Russia and Putin. Okay. Now coming to living cost, as you mentioned, people are hungry. I mentioned that countries as other products
suffering for oxygen,
deprived of oxygen because of high living costs. And we shouldn't forget, Britain at the moment is 3 war. One is Brexit war. Is it still going? Action is going on. Second, COVID is not yet over. This another war. Third war is with Ukraine war. So Britain at the moment is 3 world war. No other British Prime Minister in last 60 years came across that many challenges. We need to be, all of us, it's our responsibility to support the Prime Minister. supporting people.
Thank you. Dewan Bhai, in terms of Liz Truss's leadership, critics and people who have been observing this nomination rather, or selection process quite closely, have been commenting about whether she will be able to recruit the right people for her team as ministers. I mean, i.e. Rishi Sunak being the Chancellor. Possibly she's not going to pick him up as Chancellor, but picking the right people for her ministry. How do you think that's a possibility, that in terms of her leadership that she's going to consider putting all this bickering in one side and looking at the best interest of the party and actually bring in the right people in the right place? Because if she's wise enough, she knows that the time ahead is going to be very, very challenging. So she needs the right people beside her.
I 100% agree with you. This is the time to make the right decision and take right people on board. I have full confidence on her. She is someone who came from grassroots and she knows exactly how things work. One side you see all the statistical figure and all those hopes and all those criticism from other leaders. Another side you want someone to do the best job for you, and this is why we need Liz. This is why if you see all her plan one by one.
She did offer the Chancellor position to Rishi Sunak, did she?
Just joining the discussion that probable Chancellor.
Let's finish. Yeah.
Okay, with regards to it's too early to talk about any particular position, but in general we have high expectation on her, and I believe she's capable to make the right decision. And we need to believe this one as well. Rishi Sunak is not the only person who we can rely on. 10 years back no one knew about Rishi Sunak. He got this opportunity and he showed his ability. So there are other candidates as well who have the ability. They are waiting for their opportunities. So I have full confidence on her, and I believe she would make the right decision.
Yeah,
so
I'm joining just one second.
I will come back to you. The same question to both of you. What do you think about the policy of sending people to Rwanda, the refugees? You support that?
I do.
Okay, why is that?
I have given number of interviews and I debated with almost all of my colleagues. And I was one of the few people who is not supporting the popular concept that people sending to Rwanda is just the end of the world. First of all, England is not the only country. England was the third country after New Zealand and another country that they came up with this idea. Why? We need to give priority to our own people. If you are a presenter of ATN Bangla, your first priority would be the viewers of ATN Bangla, not the viewers of BBC or ITV4. আমাদের নিজের দেশের মানুষ are struggling with accommodation. We can't give them accommodation. Our people are struggling with education. There are not enough seats in the school. Our people are waiting for a long time for NHS for some simple appointment.
There's room for the Ukrainians.
এইগুলার জন্য I'm coming back to this point as well.
How many Ukrainian
I'm coming back to this
people?
point. I would give you very reasonable
Yeah.
reply. Okay. I would not give any emotional. I would not come to any emotional conclusion. Rather, I will give you some statistical reply as well.
It's not an emotion.
So যখন আমাদের we are struggling with our own people. We need to understand that England is no longer the matador of the world. 50 years back, this country was one of the leader and they made all decisions. This is not the case anymore. এখন আমাদের দেখতে হবে how we are looking after our own people first. Okay, if we take the responsibility for anything and everything, then Australia is lot bigger than us. আফগানিস্তান থেকে ইংল্যান্ড এই দেখে এসেছেন 21,000 রিফিউজি, অস্ট্রেলিয়া নিচে মাত্র 12,000। এইরকম যদি if we compare, this country is still the best country for the people who are coming from other countries. এখন এই যে asylum seeking এর যে প্রসেসটা, it was questionable from the very beginning. এখানে there are number of people they were making
একটা পয়েন্ট একটু মনে করাই দেই যে অস্ট্রেলিয়া কিন্তু was not involved in that Afghanistan war. So in terms of অনেক আফগানিস্তানি তারা at that time they worked for Great Britain as interpreters, as supporters, whatever on the hope that they were given, I believe, that if situation arrives where you needed to be rescued or needed to be supported away from this country, Great Britain will support you. So that was possibly the promise.
এখনো পর্যন্ত আপনি যদি ফরেন এইড এখনো পর্যন্ত দিস কান্ট্রি ইজ লাইক লিজ সেইড হি উইল কন্টিনিউ উইথ দ্য ফরেন এইড এখনো বলে না যে ফরেন এইড আমি বন্ধ করে ফেলবো আফগানিস্তান থেকে এখনো মানুষ আসতেছে দ্য পলিসি হ্যাজ বিন চেঞ্জ লিটল বিট ইনস্টেড অফ লাইক ওয়েলকামিং দেম যাদেরকে মিসইউজ করা হচ্ছে দ্য নাম্বার অফ গ্যাং দে আর ওয়ার্কিং অন দিস অ্যান্ড দে আর ইউজিং দ্য সিস্টেম তাদেরকে ডিসকারেজ করার জন্য উই নিড টু আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড হোয়াট ওয়াজ দ্য অবজেক্টিভ দে আর ট্রাইং টু অ্যাচিভ
Thank you. So we have heard from you. So Dr. Mazher, in terms of the same question to you, do you believe that Liz Truss will be, in terms of her leadership, the strength in her leadership, that she will be able to unite the Conservative Party, putting Rishi Sunak aside, but will she be actually
I am optimistic. The reason I'm optimistic, if you see in the final, before the last two names came up, there are three candidates, Rishi Sunak, who was top, and then Penny Mordaunt and Liz Truss. So Penny supported Liz. So from 1/3 already, before she became Prime Minister today, already 2/3 of the party is with her. Just she need to work on the 1/3 with the Rishi Sunak. I trust Liz is a very charismatic lady. Liz is a very charismatic lady. People on the Rishi side will gradually understand why I need to join and stand behind Liz. And I'm sure Liz will not do something very drastic decision, will recruit people, unpopular minister from Boris Johnson's cabinet.
Because আপনি নিশ্চয়ই agree করবেন যে when after post-COVID, all the other countries across the world, they were dealing with their economy, they were dealing with the crisis, they were dealing with the mental health of their people, blah, blah, blah. Whereas Great Britain, we were actually fighting how the Prime Minister had lied to us, how the Prime Minister had misled the country, how, all those irregularities that a Conservative Party were projecting in terms of the leadership, in terms of the management of the country. So no wonder the Great Britain have, we fell behind in terms of the race in relation to other countries across the world. So if Liz Truss is not able to bring the party together, she will continue to face their challenges.
Yeah,
so she will not be able to focus on all those promises that she made.
So what you said, I do not disagree with you. Party is divided. No doubt we can see in media, we can hide. We need to be very honest about that. We need to be honest about that. And the person who, Rishi Sunak, Boris made his political career. Now, he stepped down and he betrayed Boris. It's very shocking. It's very shocking who made his political career. Today he was one of the alternative candidates.
Not sure whether the betraying is the right word.
Yes. I truly believe he's betrayed with Boris. Because if you look back, December 2021.
So my question was, do you believe that Liz Truss has that kind of leadership to bring the parties together?
Yes, she is charismatic lady. She's maybe using lots of leader kind of political personality like Boris, can impress people by talks and by engaging people. On the other hand, Liz's charisma is delivery. Whatever she says,
set on the ground.
Yeah.
Thank you, Babul bhai. Same question to you. I'm sure you've been monitoring this whole selection process closely. We've heard that you're possibly sad or not happy that Rishi Sunak didn't come across as the Prime Minister. He may have, from the Conservative Party. But what's your view? I mean, do you believe that taking all these points into consideration, as I've said earlier, in terms of the interest rate, the inflation, the energy crisis, the strikes, the NHS challenges, and a very, very divided party, how do you envisage the next 2 years for Liz Truss?
Absolute chaos. She's got a battle on her hand. It is not just the fact that the entire country is disappointed with the mismanagement of this country, whether it be the economy, whether it be foreign policy, whether it be labour laws or whatever else the case may be, but also the fact that within her own party she has challenges. What was very sad was that both Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak could not bring themselves to congratulate each other. They could not even shake each other's hands when Sir Graham Brady announced the result. I mean, that's the kind of division that we see. We see a very polarized party in the Conservative Party. It's going to take a lot of time for them to heal themselves. From the Labour Party's point of view, or certainly from my point of view, I don't care about that particular thing. I would like to see them get on. I say them because it's not just Liz Truss, it's the entire government itself.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them get on with repairing this country, repairing the damage, the woeful damage that they've actually done, and to set the country back on a path to recovery so that when we, the Labour Party, take over, we can turbocharge the country and bring it back to the great country that it should be, because at the moment, we're actually in the gutter, we're in the swamps. It's an absolute nightmare.
So when Labour Party left, you left the country in a gutter, which Conservative Party had to pick it up. So you're going to expect Conservative Party to...
Who says that? Give me an example of what where the Conservative
the
country
economy was in a very critical condition.
I don't see that. The economy,
No, you don't see that, but I'm sure.
I'm going to say, look at the economy now. There are people up and down the United Kingdom who are unable to put food on the table. They are taking a decision between heating and eating. You have a situation where small businesses are going completely bankrupt. A lot of our own community, British Bangladeshi community, run small businesses, and even energy prices, for example, have quadrupled. How on earth are they going to be able to sustain themselves? We are in a situation which is 10 times worse than when the Labour Party
I hear that, but
well, you can see it as well. You can see it as well.
No, I can see it as well. But I can see it well. See that as well. But at that time, we didn't have COVID. So unfortunately, or fortunately,
and you did not have Brexit as well.
Yeah, they didn't have Brexit. They didn't have COVID. So
but hang on a second.
No.
Brexit. But hang on a second. Brexit
is not the issue. The COVID is the issue. But the COVID was the issue. Definitely, COVID was a significant
but COVID
issue.
wasn't a exclusive domain of the United Kingdom.
I know.
COVID was international. How is it that every other country can deal with those challenges and we can't? It just doesn't make sense.
Thank you. I think, Darshak,
take only 1 minute.
30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. Yeah, I think we are missing some points. When we criticize any government, we need to see the record and we need to understand the whole economical crisis the country was facing over the year.
Thank you. I think that's quite well said in terms of the defense of Conservative Party. দর্শক, আজকের মতন বিদায় নিচ্ছি। আগামী সোমবারের অনুষ্ঠান দেখবার আমন্ত্রণ রইল। শুভরাত্রি।
Thank you.